Merrimack, co-director of Freedom Agenda, and I'm a member of the Jails Action Coalition. First and foremost, I want to send my prayers and condolences to the family members of the Jones family and also the family of Anthony Jordan. I know what it is to like lose a family member in the system. You know, I probably shared the story before, but my mother's 83, and the only time I ever seen my mother cry is when she got that phone call that my brother passed away in state prison. That's the only time I've seen her cry in her 83 years. And I remember it was like yesterday. So condolences to you, prayers and strength to your family. Secondly, I want to say that we all standing here today because we believe in justice. And Ms. Valerie had invoked, you know, faith. And one of our greatest faith leaders in this country was the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And he wrote some powerful words while in a jail cell.
Come on now.
And those words was, "An injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." And unfortunately, tragically, there's an injustice happening in our city, Rikers Island. Grave injustices have been happening too often, far too often. So that's why we stand here to get justice, to demand justice, to organize for justice, to advocate for justice. So that's why we're here. And one other thing I want to say is that for all New Yorkers who have a loved one incarcerated on Rikers Island, you're not alone.
Not alone.
Join an organization that's advocating, fighting, and organizing for justice. Because one of the things that we're advocating and organizing for is two bills, two legislation. One sponsored by Councilmember Carlina Rivera, that's Intro 423, which would mandate that Department of Corrections report all deaths, any death in their custody to the families, to the appropriate agencies, and to the attorney, and so there could be a process of transparent and swift investigation could happen surrounding these deaths. And then there's another bill, Intro 412, which is sponsored by Councilmember Lincoln Ressler, which would mandate DOC inform the family of any serious injury, of any attempted suicide, to the family and the immediate attorney. So these are two bills that is going to be a hearing on it. Every New Yorker who has a family member, a loved one currently incarcerated, tell your council member to support these bills. Intro 423 and Intro 412. And there's going to be a hearing on it, and we want people to turn out to support the passage of this legislation. And lastly, I'm going to say is that we need to close Rikers.
Yes.
That's right. That's the only solution. Decarceration now, and the ultimate solution to end the suffering, to end these deaths, is the Rikers Island need to be shut down. So when I say close, you say Rikers, close!
Rikers!
Close!
Rikers!
Close!
Rikers!
Close!
Rikers!
Close!
Rikers!
Thank you so much.
Right. What do we want?
Justice!
Where do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
So speaking of justice, the people of New York actually had a bill that passed in December called Local Law 42. It started as Intro 549, but when City Council with supermajority passed our bill in December, it became known as Local Law 42. And I'm talking about Local Law 42 because it was supposed to be implemented in July. You know what happened in July? I said, do you know what happened in July? What happened?
State of emergency.
The city did not implement our bill to end solitary confinement. We followed the process of democracy by doing everything right, by protocol. Isn't that what they teach us? Yes. Be role models, productive citizens, obey the laws of the land. We did just that. We rallied, we had town halls, we spoke at city halls, we galvanized the people. I'm talking about disenfranchised us in the world, pushed through to show up, was able to maintain a supermajority when the mayor vetoed our bill. And by the grace of God, our speaker, Adriana Adams, brought our bill right on back.
That's right.
And the people of New York and our leadership and elected officials actually showed up and pushed our bill through. And then the city, the mayor, let's be exact, you know I call people out how it is, the mayor, Eric Adams, the commissioner, failed to implement the law. Shame. 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 Do you know if solitary had truly ended, many people who need access to medical would not have to worry when someone would have mercy on them and pass by their cell? They would not have to worry about the officer who refuses to come down the corridor that sits down in the bubble, even making it down to see them having an asthma attack. And these are things I've actually spoken about on the record. They would know when Charizma Jones actually needed dire medical assistance. Correction officers are not medical staff. They are trained individuals for a certain level of basic security. Let's be clear. They utilize a paramilitary form that they don't even hold themselves accountable to. Because I know as an Army brat, if you don't do what the military say, they have their own special courts to hold you accountable in. Yet our city continues to fall short on how they show up for their constituents. You were voted into office for a reason. And now, once again, we are out here standing with family members, loved ones, a mother who lost her child, a grandmother who's standing next to her daughter to support losing her grandchild. So, you know, I've already called out the public advocate not having anyone here today to actually speak on behalf of his office, because he is responsible for all 5 boroughs. And as much as I love the public advocate and all the work he does for us, you too can be called out. Because a mother is standing steps from your office building, and yet you are not even here to speak. Now that I said that, I want to invite the next person up who is here, who actually has Rikers in her district, who actually, you know, and I say this all the time because when we started and I got to know her, I wasn't sure about her, but she has shown up, and although she's busy dealing with all of our issues as her constituent, she knows how to show up when it's most important. So I want to invite the next person to speak to be Council Member Tiffany Caban.
Hey y'all. My name is Councilmember Tiffany Caban, and yes, I am the council member of the 22nd, which includes Rikers Island. I consider every single person that is caged on that island a constituent, somebody that I deeply care about, simply as a human like a human being that breathes in this world, but also that I have a responsibility to when it comes to their safety. And I just want to start by extending my condolences to Charizma's family, to Anthony's family, because this didn't have to happen. It shouldn't have to happen.
That's right.
We come out here, it's been dozens and dozens and dozens of times that y'all are out here
That's right.
fighting, and sometimes I'm like, whoa, this time. What do we say this time? But I think there's always an opportunity for truth telling. And there's something particular about Charizma's story that tells a truth about the deaths in the Department of Corrections generally. Because we are looking at a record number of deaths on record. And what we saw in Charizma's case is what we are not talking about that gets buried, is that those deaths are actually a lot more common and a lot higher than we think, because instead of doing their jobs, this administration, this mayor, this Department of Corrections is spending the time, energy, and resources to bury deaths, to discharge people, knowing that they are likely to lose their lives for what? So that count isn't part of the official Department of Corrections count. Shame! If that is not disgusting, I don't know what is.
It's barbaric.
And so we are here today to say again that enough is enough. The fact that whether you are 23 or 63, like Mr. Anthony was, whether you are a man, a woman, a gender expansive or trans person, whether you are an immigrant, whether you are black, brown, white, whatever it is, you are not safe on Rikers Island.
Say that again. That's right, say that again.
Stepping foot on Rikers Island is a potential death sentence. Period. And so until we can make sure that is not the case, we cannot keep sending people there. I mean, listen, we shouldn't be sending people there. Period. But at the very least, when it comes to saving lives, we're talking about people who are there pre-trial. We're talking about people at the intersection of multiple diagnoses that would be better dealt with public health infrastructure, not with cages and domination and violence and death. It's an F. We're starting the school year right now. Mr. Mayor, you get an F. Department of Corrections, you get an F. It is time to do better. It's time to save lives, because we can't keep having families eulogize their loved ones up here with us to demand better for other people in all of New York. So I'm gonna stand with y'all always. I'm gonna fight with y'all always. And I can thank you.
I just want to say this before you walk away, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but I raised this earlier. Charizma was supposed to get out this. And I say that because I don't think we're focusing enough on diversion in this city. And she was not being held for anything that would make the city fear, as if she could not do or pay whatever, you know, because of a charge back to the community in the community. And so I just want to say that because you are here, you represent us, you represent those locked up, you represent city council. And so, you know, I always say this, but I need them to see me say it directly to the council members. We need y'all to do better. I need you to get in your peers. And because, like, you don't know what to say, I don't know what to keep saying to family members, to loved ones after 9 to 5. You know, when we're trying to help get a funeral together. And the God and my ancestors and the Most High, they always give me the right words, I think, to say in the right moment. But it's never enough power to deliver the message, because there's so much as we pour out as service providers and individuals, or even clergy, to each other and the families and loved ones, it's not being poured back in. So as much as we're depleting our own souls to help restore someone else in the community, no one is pouring back into us. And we cannot continue to do this. And I'm not putting it all on you,
I hear that.
but I just wanted it to be known in front of an elected official. Charizma was supposed to get out yesterday. Like, that has to mean something to New York City. And I just want to raise again, thank you for even, because I know everybody has a busy schedule, but thank you for even making time in your schedule to come stand here. Because I think it's heartbreaking. I think it's heartbreaking, and I think it's disrespectful that elected officials have offices on Broadway, mere blocks away. And how many do you see here? We had 2 people that actually lost their lives this summer because of conditions that should not be, because of minimum standards that were not followed. New York does not have the freaking death penalty. That's right. We don't have it. No one should die in custody. Care, custody, and control is supposed to freaking mean something. That means that you're responsible for my life if I cannot advocate for myself. I want to bring up a representative for the Justice for Women Task Force, Akiana Smith.
Stand in solidarity with our community. My name is Aviana Smith. I am the Community Court Peer Navigator at the Women's Community Justice Association, home to the Beyond Rosie's campaign. In the last 20 months, 33 people have died on Rikers Island. I'm not here to ask how many more. I'm here to say no more. Look around you. Imagine 33 more people who should be here today, standing among us, living their lives, holding their loved ones. Look at the underutilization of ATIs and ask, how many more people should be with their communities instead of languishing in cells? If Charizma Jones had been offered alternatives to incarceration, she would be standing here today. Look at the denial of medical care and ask, how many people on Rikers Island should be getting necessary care? How many refusals have been forged or forced? How many of those 33 will be here with us now? If the city had lived up to basic standard care, look at the removal of therapeutic beds from the planned borough-based jails and ask, how many suicides could have been prevented with adequate access to mental health support? How many lives could have been saved? An inevitable death is a tragedy. The majority of deaths on Rikers Island were preventable. They are travesties, and I'm here to say no more. Thank you. No more.